Hello students, welcome to your favorite art program. Today you will learn about a resist technique called tie and dye. Tie and dye artworks are full of vibrant colors, leaving us with a plethora of possible patterns, alluring combinations and beautiful swirls and twirls. Tie and dye. To understand tie-dye's work, we need first to understand what resist dyeing is and how it helps dye dyes in various methods across the world. Resist dyeing is a traditional method of dyeing patterns into fabrics by preventing dyes from staining the entire cloth. It was used in Egypt in the 4th century to dye blood and ashes into mummy wrappings, and was also used for various purposes in China, India, Japan, Nigeria, and Senegal in the earlier periods. Resist techniques are ancient techniques of fabric decoration. They consist of two distinct techniques, namely tie and dye, also known as tie-dye, and batik. Tie and dye is just as the name suggests. First, it involves the dyeing of the fabric, usually cotton or silk, with thread at certain points, and then submerging it into colorful dyes to create a range of patterns. It is an ancient method of decorating textiles. It is the dyeing of the fabric that result in interesting and colorful patterns. It was practiced in Asian countries such as China, Japan, India, and Indonesia. Tie and dye is known by the following different names: Bandhani in India, Shibori in Japan, and Plungi in Indonesia. The techniques are the same, however, they all have distinctive features and cultural influences. Bandhani. Bandhani is a popular type of tie and dye method in India. The word Bandhani comes from the Hindi word bandhan, which means to tie, producing a variety of colors, designs, and patterns. It is a highly skilled process, mostly done in the state of Rajasthan and Gujarat. The quality can be determined by the size of the dots. The smaller the dots and the closer the dots are to the size of the pinhead, the finer the quality. Here are pictures of Meghwal tribal women wearing bandhani and women with handicraft skills in India. Bandhani work can be seen on all sorts of apparel. Shibori. Shibori is another type of resist technique. Shibori is the Japanese word for a variety of manual resist dyeing techniques that involves shaping and securing the fabric before dyeing to create patterns. Known to be one of the oldest Japanese dyeing techniques, the first appearances of shibori dyed fabrics dates back to the 8th century. The Japanese had been tying and dyeing fabrics for hundreds of years using intricate and labor-intensive techniques. The name shibori is derived from the word shiboru, which means to wring, squeeze, or press. Indigo is the best dye to use with tie and dye to obtain sharp contrast. Here are various methods of shibori that are designed to achieve specific results. Tie and dye can be used for various purposes. For example, here is a wall hanging, a blouse and a lampshade. Tie-dyes were made in China during the Tang Dynasty and Nara period. Dyes were drawn from berries, leaves and flowers. They were boiled until the color seeped into the water. Then the cloth was soaked in the water until it turned into the desired shade. Plungi is another method of tie and dye to create patterns on textile in Indonesia. This technique of resist dyeing is also known as pelangi, meaning rainbow, or tritic, meaning drips of water. The resist is stitched into the cloth, usually using a strong pineapple thread that will not break when pulled tight. This elaborately designed textile was used for rituals and ceremonial occasions, as well as for decorative purposes. Here is a shoulder cloth, silk, with stitch resist dyed and tie-dyed resist. Many Western Africans have a tradition of wearing colorful clothing done through tie and dye techniques. Using bright and vibrant colors, these patterns and designs are symmetrical, random, and natural. Tie and dye became very trendy and fashionable during the hippie era. The 60s known for being the hippie psychedelic era. They were not as intricate as Asian tie-dye techniques. However, they were simple and inexpensive. Now I will show you how to make a tie and dye. You will need the following materials. Pieces of white cotton fabric, string, cloth pegs, seeds, pulses, pebbles, bottle caps, bottle tops, or any other appropriate material. Round tip scissors, coal dyes of different colors, salt or dye fix, paint brushes, elastic bands, rags, containers for mixing dyes, sheets of newspaper, since dye is stained, take the following appropriate precautionary measures. Wear an apron and gloves. Wear a mask as you are exposed to dyeing materials. You may inhale substances that may be harmful to your lungs. Protect your eyes by wearing safety glasses. Dye materials should be stored in a cool, dry place. And be careful while handling warm water. Step 1. Gather your materials. Step 2. Place the pebbles and pulses onto the fabric to create an interesting design. Step 3. Tie the fabric firmly using string and elastic bands. These will prevent the dye from penetrating the tight part of the fabric. Step 4. Experiment different ways of tying. Step 5. Choose contrasting coal dye colors and mix each color separately in a small container. Mix coal dyes with adequate warm water and add salt or dye fix to obtain a liquid consistency. Step 6. Place the fabric onto a container and apply dye to the fabric by using different paint brushes or droppers. Step 7. You may also dip the fabric in the dye to apply color. Apply the colors starting from the lighter to the darker tones. Step 8. Allow the tie and dye samples to dry in a cool place. When dry, untie and open the fabric to reveal the designs. And now it's time for the big reveal. Here is your final work. Let us have a look at some further ideas. Some intricate designs. Tie and dye on tissue paper. You can explore new style of clothing. You can make some colorful styling. Colorfully tied, dye bed sheets and curtains. Tablecloth and runners. You can even dye your bags and socks. It is an immense pride when you realize that something which is known to have originated 5,000 years ago is still being used and acknowledged. Here are some websites and internet sources that you may refer. Dear students, tie and dye is a fun and creative way to add personality to Dear students, tie and dye is a fun and creative way to add personality to clothing and fabric. Chance and accidental effects give this dyeing technique a magical appeal. The final results may bring surprises, so enjoy your tie-dye adventure. Thanks for watching.